So what we are, if you want to go ahead and mute for right now so that there's no background music or background music. Yes, your voices are music. Did you know that? Everything's vibration, right? So I'd like to welcome you here this morning or this afternoon, this evening, where you are. And what we're going to be doing today is going through the basics of developing a business plan. And so it's going to be from purpose to practice, right? And it's a living plan. It's flexible. You guys are all conscious entrepreneurs. You're trying to do things for your communities and the environment. And as Desjardins says, the future belongs to those who give the next generations reason for hope. And I am because we are, right? I'm sure you're familiar with that Ubuntu phrase. So, first of all, in developing a plan, there's got to be a vision and a mission. And in that, creating your vision of what you want to see in the future is imperative to bring it into the present. All of the entrepreneurial uh, axioms boil down into start with the end in mind, right? So have your vision, write it, and then you can extrapolate that vision into the business plan, beginning with your mission statement and so on. So why does this matter? If you guys could please mute. Okay. So why this matters? A business plan is a living system, not a static document. A lot of times in writing it, you're going to feel stressed, frustrated, anxious because you've never done this before, perhaps. Most businesses today, organizations included, 80% of them don't have a business plan. Now, we call it a business plan loosely because it's a roadmap to do what you want to do, to embody your mission and vision and manifest it in the world. So clarity creates confidence and momentum. The clearer you can be, the more effective your results will become. Does that make sense? So you've all got the link to the business plan workbook. I was hoping that you might have that open and follow along in this, but that's okay. There are some other documents in the folder that have fill-inable responses that will help you in your own plan. There's a 90-day and there's a goal setting. So plans must adapt to a real world conditions. So what's that mean? They've got to be applicable to your audience. You have to be able to speak to them to show what you're doing connects with what their needs are, and then invite them to participate. If you want to go first, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. And that's an American phrase, right? And this is a imperative to understand when you're moving into this development phase. So why most business plans fail? Because they're written for the wrong audience, right? You're looking for funding, trying to go to banks or foundations or organizations to get funding. Well, that's one way of doing it, and sometimes it works. Most of those are a bit rigid and they don't provide the entire view. They don't provide the message that you want to deliver in the way that you want to deliver it. And this includes, as we said before, you're not going alone, you're going together. So you've got to include that because anytime someone is going to read your business plan, they need to feel part of it. You need to be able to explain it to them in such a way that they naturally feel inclined to understand and to maybe even get involved, right? And it doesn't come overnight. The wisdom that you share, it's taken years to get so. So be patient with others in the process too. Now, the new definition of a business plan is a clarity tool, right? It's a decision filter because what you can do is understand that this is all a learning process. And the further you get into the business plan development, the more questions will pop up that you hadn't considered before, and yet still are necessary to answer so that your audience understands the full perspective of what you're doing, right? And there's the workbook that is provided will walk you through that process. I'm just explaining what that is so that you understand it better, and then we'll have some questions at the end. Now, the purpose or the living business plan canvas actually, you state your purpose and problem. Now, what's that mean? You state what you want to do and what it serves in the solution that you're providing, right? So you're identifying what you are attempting to solve in the community or in the nation or even across Africa, and then providing the solution for that. You identify the people you're serving, right? In most cases, that's called a target market. What happens though is that oftentimes you don't address your audience in the appropriate way. So this is where you need to do some research on your audience, find out where they're at, what they're looking for, what they need to hear in how you're presenting, and then being able to present that in an effective way and articulate. Now, one of the nice things today is once you have your vision and your material and the things at least somewhat articulated, there's ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini that you can plug that into and refine it with the queries of how to address your particular audience. So you can identify who your audience is, and you can take that as deep as you want to in order to address it appropriately. Then you want to state your value that you offer, right? What you're providing to them, what it solves, how the long-term effects are going to be experienced from that solution, and then the delivery and operations of it. Now, this is how you're going to do it, right? You've got to understand that. It's one thing to have a grand idea or a dream. I've had many in my life. What is imperative is learning how to back the vision, the mission, the action steps, the items that you need to do into a step-by-step process in order to achieve it. And that's going to take some time. Be patient with it. Questions are going to come up along the way. I'm here to answer those if necessary. However, you can also use chat to answer those questions as well. It does an impeccable job most of the time. And then you want to talk about your revenue and the sustainability of it. So in most cases, the I'll say it, I'll put it this way, and I love the framing of this. So for the most part, the agendas of companies and organizations and businesses have been profit over people and planet. Now today we're flipping that agenda to people and planet over profit. Now it doesn't do away with the profit. You've got to have the revenue in order to be sustainable. What it does is it puts you in a position where you're a servant leader to the community, and you will be perceived as that because you're serving the community. You're not serving yourself, right? You're giving yourself up. It's like the identity crisis, right? You become what you're doing, at least for a while. And that evidence will show up in your behaviors, in how you address people, in the respect and honor that you have for your own vision and mission, let alone the communities you serve. And then you want to get into the risks and learning side of things. So this is a huge learning process. The learning curve sometimes can be great, Maybe not so much so, because I don't know where each of you are in the state of your development yet. However, you've already noticed, I'm sure, that you're really learning a lot. Now, when you're in the trenches doing the work, you're going to experience the kind of education that you would get from a PhD program. Understand that, right? Acknowledge that I want to acknowledge in you that this is a huge learning process for you. And the education that you're going to get, and educate means to draw out, right? Not to put in. So this is all inside of you. All this plan is supposed to do is draw out what's already inside of you and help you to create the process to achieve it. And as the old Ubuntu insight. A business thrives when the community thrives, right? And you'll notice some of these things on the bottom of each one of these slides. Just take your time to contemplate each one of them, realize where you're at and the opportunity that you're being given now. Now let's start with the purpose and problem. Okay, what human or community problem do you serve? You really need to be clear on that. Why does it matter now? That's imperative, right? That's where you can relate. And why are you the one to do this work? Now, you can reflect on your passion and purpose. You can reflect on your education. You can reflect on your business acumen or what you've already achieved in the community. Those are all great things to include. Now, also, you want to include some sort of a resume of you and any other partners that you have as well. This gives you credibility in writing your plan. It shows that you've got the people, places, and things in place to do it. Now, the people you serve, primary customers or beneficiaries, again, these are the folks that you want to target in your community or in your nation when you're looking for other support, uh, being able to be recognized, getting some notoriety in your environment, and being in a place that you need to be in order to have that kind of reputation that you're looking for. Now, the community and stakeholders, how do you address them? How do you organize them and build a team, right? Because this is not just a singular effort. You've got a team. That team is also serving the community. So the more you can integrate the community, ask questions of it to see how things fit for them, then you can also adjust your business plan to meet those needs. One thing that's imperative, you got to understand your audience, right? Any kind of marketing expertise or expert is going to tell you that up front. You've got to know your audience first, because if you don't, you're going to speak in a different language to them that they might not understand. One of the things that we run into problems with in life is that we think everybody thinks and listens like us, right? That's a fallacy. Everybody listens differently. You know, even Howard Gardner back in the 80s presented multiple intelligences, right? These are 8 different ways that we learn. Now, we all have those various aspects of greater and lesser degrees, but that just expands the playing field a little bit more to let you know what all is there. Now, what's this all do? Right? Addressing the audience, speaking to them in their terms, making sure that you've got everything in line. It develops trust, right? That's the key. And the relationships that you develop from that are the assets that you'll need in going forward in building your organization and providing the service to the community. And participation creates ownership, right? You get the buy-in. You feel part of something bigger than you are, and you give your service to that. Now, the value offered, these are one of the things that are also really important. Your products and services, the transformation that you provide or the outcome that you're able to offer. And then you have to have the contextual relevance. Now, what does that mean, right? You need to put it in the frame of where you are, what you're doing, how it serves, and the results the community is going to experience as a result. So you've got to, again, put it in that framework that appeases the questions of your audience. And your audience could be funders, could be the community, could be other members of your team, because it's all part of the same thing. This is a holistic system that you're creating. Of delivery and operations, key activities. You've got to define exactly how you're going to do things. Now, why does that matter? Because it gives you the action steps to take. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a map, right, how are you going to get to your destination? And that map basically are the incremental steps that it's going to take in order to achieve your vision. And some of those can be quite detailed. Some of you may want to break it down to daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly activities that feed into a schedule of activities for your overall progress. Now, the partners and collaborators that you're going to need in that will help you achieve that. As you develop the relationships, you're able to query what's working, what's missing, what needs to be in place, and their suggestions of how to put it there will give you a great idea of what to do. And the resources that you have that are already available, those are things that you can research in your various communities. Again, Google's a great search engine, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all of those are able to scan the web. And it's not really AI, it's not artificial intelligence. It's an aggregated intelligence based on all the human data that's available. So don't feel timid in doing so. Ask it any questions that you want and just begin to craft your queries in order to meet the needs that those platforms are looking for. And you'll be surprised as how interactive they are, and sometimes even asking you questions that you hadn't thought of, which is really wonderful. Now, the revenue and the sustainability. Your revenue is going to be your validation, right? This is where people see that you can achieve what you're wanting to do and help support you in that effort. Now, some things take a lot of revenue, some things may not. That depends on your activity. I know for a fact, having my own history of being able to do things, it doesn't take a lot. Sometimes you can do a tremendous amount with no budget whatsoever. It just depends on the relationships that you create along the way and your ability to ask for help. Most of the time, we think we have to do this alone, right? You remember back in the earlier slides, this is not a single journey, it's a community journey. So treat it as such, and you'll get far better results. But be conscious of that activity. Now, profit is resilience. This gives you the opportunity to expand what you're doing or expand it into other areas that you want to service, right? And this will happen over time. Be patient, right? You're in this for the long haul, not the short term. And the cash flow is going to provide you the opportunity to continue, right? That's going to be the evidence. It's going to help you and know that that's going to be there. When you've got everything else in line and you've crafted your plan so that it's impeccable, and you'll get there. It may take several versions of it as you do your queries and interact with the community and ask questions. That's all right. Expect that. It's all a process. Everything in life is a process. What we have to do, I call it, we learn the 5 Ps, right? Patience, perseverance, persistence, passion, and purpose. Being able to practice all of those and understand how those impact you will affect who you're speaking with, right? Because we're all energy. The higher we vibe, the better effect we can have, and the more consistent it will be. Now, risk and learning, right? What are you really willing to risk? What are you willing to let go of, including your beliefs in who you are and what you can do, right? If you understand the power that you wield as a sovereign agent in consciousness, right? Think about that for a minute. If you're connected, we all know we are, then how does that display through us and what do we need to do in order to align with that so that we can serve to our best? Well, that takes risk. That takes a willingness to be curious, to let go of previous ideas and notions that don't fit anymore, and to step into a greater power that you are, with help, of course, right? Again, you're not alone in this journey. Many have gone down that path before. Now, the test, how you find out what you're doing, right? You've got to create some metrics, right? You've got to be able to understand what your results are going to look like in the field. And those could be data measurements. They could be differences in how the communication is taking place as it begins. It might be a little frustrating, a little cacophonic to begin with. But as you learn how to communicate better, those things will change. Now, one thing that I've found works really well, it's really hard to practice because you want to immediately respond to people. But when you're asked a question, pause, take a breath, use what's known as a recursive function. And we get that from the computer world, right? Well, recursive function means a system that queries itself for answers. We all do that, right? There was a guy years ago, go into your closet and pray, right? It's exactly what that is. So what you need to do is hit the pause button, take a breath, reflect, ask how to best serve in this moment. Take another breath and pause, and I guarantee you that answer will be there. And the more you practice it, the more fluent you'll become, and you won't even notice the segue in between. You can get that good at it. So the building the learning loops then, this is the reciprocation, right? This is, you might see it as a Mobius strip, right? Because you're all in the same communication and you've got different lanes you're working in. So building that holistic system so that everybody understands each other's role makes it cross-functional, first of all, and also gives better coherence to the overall plan. Now, coherence is a really important word. That's where everything is aligned and flowing. And if it's not, you'll feel it. That's when you begin to need, that's when you need to ask further questions, right? About what's working, what's not, and how it can be improved. If you want a truncated version of that, there's a great book called 1 Minute Manager. And it was designed for managers to talk to their employees and give them their worst, their best, and how they can improve. Well, it's a similar structure. So from plan to practice, in the folder that you have access to, you will see a 90-day plan that allows you to create some things to do. Put it in a definitive time frame. We all work in time frames and timelines. Sometimes we expect more than we can actually achieve, and that's okay. I found I've got 2 master's degrees in business. I have an MBA in project management and an MA in organizational management. In both of those programs, there was a quadratic formula that was offered about timelines and expectations. And there was a bunch of figures put into it. But the basics of it, the thumbnail sketch, if you will, it's going to take you 3 times longer than what you think it will to achieve your plan. So consider that. And knowing that, you can begin to look for places that you can truncate. You can not cut corners. You can be more effective in your actions, right? This is where you can further define and refine your plan with the specifics that are necessary once you find out what those details are. So it's a very interesting process, I got to say. Now, your plan is alive. You need to revisit it quarterly at least. And of course, this is after you've got it designed, and it may take a few months to complete that. You may already have it done and just need to go back through and refine it a little bit. Great if you do. If you don't, then it's necessary to actually create one. Another thing you may not realize, we are so connected to energy. How do we manifest things in the world? Well, we put them from ideas and dreams into writing. Think about that process, about how you're putting your non-corporeal thoughts into black and white. That's all part of the manifestation process, if you understand it correctly. So be prepared once you start writing things and putting them into print that there's going to be some magic that happens. Anticipate it, right? It's that anticipation. Just as an aside, we often feel this quivering in our solar plexus. And we assume that it's anxiety, that something's about to happen that we need to be aware of. Well, that's true. Something is about to happen that you need to be aware of. However, that's a trigger to anticipate something that your awareness needs to be present for. And I guarantee you it will take you from that fear-based anxiety place into a love-based anticipatory state. You just have to remember to do that, right? We process things from the gut to the head. Most of us today have been taught to process from the shoulders up and forget about the body. Your body is an integral tool, and it works that way for all of us. None of us are separate from that. Now, the business will grow with you as you practice all of these things, right? You're embodying your vision and mission in order to serve the community in the ways that's necessary and to make the world a better place. That's really what you're after, right? As a conscious entrepreneur, that's what we all want. We want to help create a better world. How we integrate with each other in order to do that is the most important aspect of it. The relationships you create, the plans that you make, the collaboration that you develop is imperative. Now, ultimately, and I love this phrase, be the dream. Yours, right? This has been part of my coaching business for 30 some odd years now. And I've had the business name since 1988, so it gives you an idea of how long I've been at this. Most of what I say is, I would say practically all of what I say is trench tested. You'll find out the validity in it as you trench test your missions and visions. And it's possible to achieve the potential that you really think is there, right? And you're serving others, which serves the planet. One thing we don't think about is that we're all planetary citizens when we're born, right? We're all part of the earth. There's no difference. There's really no boundaries. They're all illusory, created by others that think they know what they're doing. And now we're having the opportunity to shift that to a people and planet over profit agenda. And you're all part of that. And I am blessed to help you do that. So your clarity does matter in this, right? You can't have a nebulous idea and have it work. And the ideas that you have will eventually filter out to where you can have that definitive plan in place so that you can be successful. Now, you got to remember that all of this matters. right? Matters to you, matters to others, matters to the planet. Now, to stay in that place is going to require you to step up, to move, to go through whatever doors of fear that you may have. And you all know that 99% of the fears we have are never manifested. So just keep that in mind. A fear is a door. Walk through it. There's help. And if you're not sure quite how, reach out and ask. All right. So I'm going to open the floor up for questions now. I think that's as far as I can take it with you all. Are there any questions that you have? You can take yourself off mute and just raise your hand, speak up. Okay, Shemaya?
I'm kindly asking, when it comes to you knowing your targeted market as a business person, how can you identify the market?
Well, first of all, who are you serving? What is the audience that you want to serve? And you need to describe that. That can entail economic level, gender, socioeconomic level, philosophy, community engagements, um, whatever that may be, that's how you define your target market. And this is where you can take your organization. One thing that, especially with or any of the AI large language models, you can create your vision, first of all, your vision statement, and then plug it into one of these models and ask it, who's your best target market with your vision, and see if it matches up. And if it doesn't, then you need to make some adjustments.
Thank you very much for that response.
You're welcome. And there's also in the business plan workbook, there's a section in there that gives you some indications and some help in doing so. Samuel?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask maybe in a scenario whereby you have started executing your plan and then it fails. Is it okay that you should start another one or you continue with the same one?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand uh, your question. Could you repeat that? Slow down just a little bit. I'm an American. I listen with slower ears than you guys speak.
Okay, I was saying in a scenario whereby you have started executing your plan, which you have suggested that you wanted to do, and
Hmm.
then it eventually fails out. Is it okay to proceed with the same one, or maybe you can try to explore another one?
So what I hear you saying is it okay to continue with your existing plan or to create a new one? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if you're working in the same area, you don't need a new plan. You just need to adjust the one you have. If you're going into a different area, then yes, you may be able to take some of those same applications and put it into the new plan.
Thank you. That's clear.
You're welcome. Any others? Surely you've got some questions. There are no questions that are, in America, we call it, there's no stupid questions, right? If you got a question on your mind, ask it. You, there's, that's the most intelligence that you can have. Well, I guess, okay. Ida, Sam, you can take your hand down now. Is it Ida or Ida? You're on mute.
All right. Sorry, I thought I'd unmuted. Ida.
Had it right the first time. Great. So what's your question?
Thank you. So my question is, at what point do I need to only focus on one or two businesses? For example, let's say I have three business ideas and I'm exploring all the three. And then they're looking promising. Do I need to stop doing one or two and focus on one in order for that business to make it big and grow big?
Well, here's
Or
the,
I just need to continue with all three business ideas?
that depends on your time management, ideally, right? How well you're able to manage the tasks and get them done determines how much time you have available to do other things. Now, it's always possible to structure things so that you spend time on each one of those if all of them are important or have similar equality in importance, then it's a matter of time management. And as a project manager, um, my just as an indication, a little story. At 26, I was responsible for $7 million a month in shipments of aerospace spare parts, over 800 of them. Each one of them had a separate schedule for their manufacturing. All of those then come into place initially in manufacturing and what we called an end unit. So you've got 100 parts that go into one unit. Each one of those parts has its own schedule. Could be as much as 2 years for some of the castings, could be 6 weeks for some of the lesser things. All of those have to be coordinated. So as I was learning how to navigate that realm, there are things that come up that you can add to, or let me put it this way, there's usually space in the schedule to add things to as you're finding the details that are necessary, right? You begin to understand the process, the scheduling, the patterns, the rhythms, the cycles of the things that you're doing. And this is another level of awareness that a lot of people don't achieve, right? Where you can step back from what you're doing, look at everything that's involved, and begin to recognize the patterns in them. That alone will help you with your time management because you'll be able to see what you can do while you're waiting for something else to complete.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Again, questions? You've got an opportunity to ask the burning questions about your business or your organization, so please do so. Well, I'll mention the silence. That's a great place to just be. Shemaya, do you take yourself off mute and ask your question?
Okay, so for me, I am running an online class where I coach in elegance. So I wanted to ask, in which ways can I promote my business apart just from me utilizing the social medias?
So what I think I heard you say was, how do you promote your business beyond social media?
Yes.
Key factors are where your audience is. That's what you need to find out. If they're reading magazines, newspapers, if they're showing up at different locations in your community for specific things that they enjoy doing that's aligned with what you're working on, finding out where those people are, and then that'll give you an idea of how to reach them in those places. And social media is still a great form to do so. There's all kinds of different platforms. There's messaging that you can use to do so. Now, depending on what you're doing, I find that there are also many ancillary groups. So these are groups that may be loosely connected or at least have some commonality in what you're doing. And you can find those in LinkedIn, on Facebook. Um, I know those two areas are replete with those kinds of groups. Just research them, find out who's there. You can approach them from that perspective too. Join the groups first of all, right? But that gives you another way to do that. And then with the people offline, which is what I think you're asking about, you got to show up where they're at somehow, whether it's in content, text, print, or in person. It's always best to be in person, especially if you're in a local organization.
Thank you very much for the response.
You're welcome. So any other questions, thoughts, um, any comments of what you've learned so far? I'd like some feedback. Excuse me. So I would like some feedback on what your level of understanding is on what I've given you today. Am I going to need to call on people? Alexander, I'm going to do that first so you can lead the way.
Uh, am I audible?
Yes, you're unmuted. Go for it.
I was saying, am I audible?
Your audio's spotty though.
Yeah, now can you get me clear?
I only heard the last four words you said.
Uh, I guess now I'm audible. Am I audible now?
I can hear you.
Yes, at least.
Yeah, actually, yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, for me, actually, I just like telling it down to audience because if you're developing a business plan, mostly it's like you need to look at the audience group, the target group. So I like how you structured it because in terms of the audience, which is the target group, most people just maybe look at those people that maybe you'll be selling your product because it's always about selling product. For instance, some people in terms of selling their products, maybe it's about ideas, selling the ideas. To them, they just look at what they're going to reach out to. Say to school, maybe they're saying, okay, audience, target audience. But if you're looking at target audience, mostly it's more than that actually, because even your donors, those are also your audience. So when you're telling that message, you're developing that business plan, you also need to look at target audience. The
Actually, and I think very true.
business just
And thank you,
I was
Alexander.
just and then I was yeah. Yeah, so I was reading this message. This text actually, they're saying in those days they used to say business mostly is about making generating, but mostly now it's about uh, making a community whereby those people actually coming to you. So it's like that customer. Looking at that target audience, it's like you need to also to clarify that, and if you are clarifying it, you're talking about maybe demography, which is age range, gender incorporated. And then somebody also said that about target audience. You need to look what you need to research first of all, because you don't just bring target audience. Which is about the unique proposition, which I will not say much today, of course, but it's most about you need to make a research. If you're maybe doing it for maybe like your business, it's about maybe physical contact mostly. It's about what does the community need mostly. So you need to make that research. Sometimes you can just go to your friend, a fellow friend, ask them, maybe even go to the community what they are lacking actually, because that's about entrepreneurship. You need to look at that problem. If you identify that problem, then you need to bring that solution. So I like that area of target audience. Mostly, if you are developing that business plan, you need to look at your target audience.
Yes, you do. Yeah, and that's, the most appropriate um, that excuse me, in the various target audiences that you're going to have, and you made a good distinction there between your funders, community, your direct um, interactions with others, if you've got a product or service that is applicable to that. Those kinds of things you want to consider that for each of those areas, you may need to adjust your business plan slightly. So you have um, multiple ways of presenting your business depending on who your audience is, right? One plan does fit all, and yet it needs to have those ancillary pieces or those separate items that you can plug into the various areas that are necessary in order to adjust it to meet those audience needs. So thank you. Sammy, you started to say something?
No?
Yes?
Yeah, so actually, I would say the presentation was very insightful. They brought in various dimensions on how best one would implement his or her own business plan.
Thank you. Well, I know this works, right? I taught business plan writing for a micro lending organization just after the turn of the century, and I taught it to over 200 um, women and minority-owned businesses that were attempting to grow, and we got them over 200,000 in loans in the process, microloans. So that works. There's also the notion that, or there's another opportunity as well in the healing arts world. I taught business plan writing classes for healing arts school. So there's all kinds of different applications, but every time you want to do something that has, excuse me, has a cash flow in it as a business, then you need to have a plan for it. Otherwise, you're going to get to a point where you get lost and you don't know where to go, what to do. That's most important, that you have the plan. Prince, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Zen. Am I audible?
Yes, I
Am I
hear you.
audible? Okay, myself, I just wanted to thank you, for your clear elucidation or elaboration, mostly on the 5 P's that you clearly elaborated to us, so that we always need to persist, to have patience and have purpose. That has given me a clear understanding for someone like who wants to open or to run a non-profit organization. So I feel like it is very much important to look at all those 5 P's. So that has given me a clear understanding. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Prince. I'm honored to be able to help you guys. I really am.
Yeah, I think we'll be in touch here and there, so that you give us more direction, so that we maneuver through each and every step.
Very good. And I'm open for questions. Shemaya, one more? Shemaya, you've got your hands up. Or hand up. Gisomo. No?
So to me, it's not a question. Sorry for that. I didn't know that the mic was still off. So to me, it's not a question that I have. I just want to appreciate for this powerful presentation and lesson that you have just shared with us. And I would also love to encourage each and every business person who is part of this meeting today to always ensure that they have a business plan, because your business plan will be more like your architecture plan to where you want to be in the next 2 years, the next 3 years, and it will also help you serve the community with intention. Thank you very much for this beautiful presentation.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. So we're coming to a close of the hour. I want to reiterate that the link I shared with Alexander and John Ningulu, the new link to the folder that has the business plan. It's also got a financial spreadsheet that we didn't get into that has everything that you'll need. All you got to do is plug in the numbers. And it's got some other documents in it as well. Those are really helpful tools that you'll need in your progress and ways to help focus your energy, your mind, your thinking into ways that are most productive for you. So thank you again for attending, and much success to all of you. I know the world is going to be better with your participation in it. So thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Explore the thoughtless sphere. Embark on a life-changing journey of self-discovery. Embrace harmony with self, with others, with Earth. One world in a new world. Zen Benefiel skillfully ignites conversations, guiding guests to reveal personal journeys and perspectives. Listeners are inspired to seek knowledge and find wisdom in their own lives. Join this transformative journey as we navigate the depth of human experience.